Welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. My name's Craig, and I bought something at the auction that's kind of cool. We're going to take a look at it. I'm going to kind of show you how the wiring works on this and some other things, so let's get to it. So as I was saying in the introduction, bought this at an auction, paid $120 for it. It is a fully operating light. Now, here's the kicker to all of it. I don't know how they operate, but it has wiring here that basically tells me this was in a garage and somebody used it. I bought it, like I said, I bought it at an estate auction. The guy had a really cool garage full of all kinds of stuff. A lot of the signs that you're seeing around here, I bought from two estate auctions, one up here in the north and one down in Salt Lake. And this is one of the items. When I was there talking to him, picking up, I can't remember what it was, but they had a little street light laying there on the ground. And I'm like, wow, I said, it would have been nice to have that. She goes, oh, just wait, there's a better one coming. And here it is. I paid $120 for it. And it appears to already have been modified. Now the only thing I'm going to have to do is reconfigure the way that it mounts on the wall. I'm going to actually screw it right into a beam and then wire it in for all LEDs. I've got a controller coming for it and everything. Controller costs about 40 bucks, but it'll convert this whole thing to LED. You can set it on your own timer, all that kind of fun stuff. So let me show you real quick what I've learned so far messing with it. I was messing with it last night when we were giving out kids candy because we sit in the garage here where it's nice and warm and have the kids come up. But while I was playing with it, I realized he's got already got little thumb screws on here. So all you have to do is unscrew them, and this is how I knew that it was already converted, because these lights use a really high-powered bulb in them. And currently there is a regular bulb in there. So I know somebody was playing with it. Also the way that it's wired, there's really bad connectors and that kind of thing in here. That's tape. But what I found interesting, and I'll show you here in a minute, as soon as I get it open. Come on, you. But these are nice because you just unscrew these little thumbnails. And I guess they use these out on the street, I would imagine, because they're stainless. And they appear to be in here permanently. Well, they've got a little fancy lock screw that holds them. But you unscrew them, you open them up, and this is where you would go in and change those light bulbs. So you've got your 3 doors and 3 light bulbs. Like I was saying, these are normal household light bulbs. They're not the ones that are normally in these. The ones that are normally in these are a little bit brighter than these are. The wiring comes up, and I kind of find it interesting. We've got one common wire, and then we've got 3 of the black. And that's it. There's no other wires in here, so I find it kind of interesting. So I started playing with the voltmeter, and this is where I kind of ran into some interesting stuff. So let's get you guys a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing here. So what I did was I set my ohm meter to check the lights and to see if there was continuity between all these different cables and such. So let me get that all hooked up and going for you, and I'll show you exactly what to do. Because I don't know how these work, we got to figure it out. And we want to set her to our beep tone. So in any electrical circuit, there's a full circuit. So it goes, you're hot into your light, and then out of the light back out to the main power. So we're going to kind of deduce here that the white wire is going to be our common connection between all of these lights. So we're going to definitely hook into our common, and we'll just leave that right there. And then we want to test these 3 wires, and I'm thinking each one of these wires probably goes to one of the lights, and we're going to figure it out, and this is how we're going to do it. Okay, that's good. We got a signal to all 3. So let's pull a light bulb out. and see if we don't get a signal, and see if there's a signal break, and that'll tell us, hey, that's the one to that light bulb. So nothing there, and something there. So let's double check those again. So we've got power to that one. Power to that one. Wasn't holding it tight enough. Nothing to this one. So what we can do is put our light bulb back in. And we've got power to that one. So we're going to go ahead and grab some masking tape, and we're going to mark them red, yellow, green, and that way we know which wire goes to which bulb. And then we're going to actually check and see if they work. Now we are converting it all over to LED and everything, but I want to see if this thing works beforehand the way it is. And that way we know if we leave the wiring in place, later on we can convert it back if we really wanted to. We could also get LED bulbs, but I want to use a controller because it'll allow us to do a few things that that normally wouldn't happen. So let's go get some masking tape and mark these. So we got our I was told these Milwaukee Sharpies work better than everything. So again, let's grab our negative. Let's pull our bulb. Oop. It'd be nice if I had alligator clips on these, but I don't. So I can always buy some later that I can put on there. So again, we want to put that right there like so. Signal. This is the one with no signal. See, once again, nothing here. But we have a signal here. So we want to mark this one red, or R. And we can leave this tape in there for later on. Don't know what this is. Let's see if we can't get it off. Yeah, let's get it off there, because it was probably something they had hooked into something, but where we're going, we don't need that anymore. So there's our red. Okay, so let's put our red bulb back in. Well, actually, we can leave our red bulb out. Doesn't matter. Now let's go to our next bulb. Let's go to yellow. Pull our yellow bulb out. That should break the connection between the hot and the common. Let's go over here and check this one. I got nothing. Let's check this one. This is our yellow. So we could go ahead and mark that one yellow, or Y. That makes it simple. This one is going to be our green. There's also a big old chunk of electrical tape on that too. And all I got to say is if they were wired using this electrical tape, that's not safe. Should have been something a little more permanent. So let's remove our last bulb. Now we do want to make sure that by plugging in other bulbs that each of these stay the same as they are. So let's go over and check our last one. So we got no signal there. You put the bulb back in, make connection, and we got our signal. So that's our green. Now, we can go ahead and put all of them back in again. Now basically these are set to run on household current. Once again, you got your black, your common. The only thing it doesn't have is a ground, mainly because this is basically just a big lamp. I would still run a ground and plan to once I upgrade it. There is going to be a ground put in, but I can see connectors inside here that go to each one of those lights. So I'm going to pull that open so you guys can see it here in a minute. So as we can see, there is a group of connectors in here. I should say group of wiring in here. So let's go ahead and check and see if we're getting because there's a bunch of white in here. And I want to make sure that none of this is mixed up. I also have a white going to a common going to a hot. So here we're white to white. It comes over to the next one, white to white. Comes over to the next one, white to white. That doesn't look right, but I might be mistaken. It might be just something I've not I'm not sure of, but because I've got all the bulbs in, I'm going to get a signal no matter what. So definitely want to make sure that that's not the case. So let's go ahead and pull all these bulbs out of here. And like I say, this is something I'm learning. You can learn it with me. But like I was saying, this is all going to be converted to LED, but it'll be nice to know that behind the scenes, this whole wiring harness is there. So now let's go to our commons. So we should get connectivity between our common, just like we were before. But now when we go to our black wires, we get nothing, which we shouldn't have. So now what we can do in here is also mark these what they are. Actually, if you look, they are already marked. Red, amber, and green. Red, amber, and green. So these are already marked for these lights. So that makes it easy. So let's put power to everything and let's see how everything works. So we can go ahead and close that door. And these are neat little hinges. They're spring loaded, so if you want, you can remove these whole assemblies to work in there. So it's kind of neat. And you've got a little spring loaded clip that holds it all together. But in order to put them back in, you just line up the dowels and pop them back into place. So kind of cool. Now again, what I'm going to do, I don't recommend anybody doing. Again, kids, don't do this at home. Get it all the way in there, along with this one, all the way in there, and then we don't run the risk of touching them. So let's turn on our power and see what we got. Not a very good connection, but that shows you we got a red light. So let's try the next one. Go ahead and pull this one out and go to yellow. Oop. Because I put these little mounts on there, it doesn't want to go far enough in there to catch the outlet because they're not made for that. Let's face it. But they go in far enough where we can mess with them and make it work. And we have yellow. Pretty cool. Last but not least, check our green. Do we have green? We have green. But this just kind of gives you some basic knowledge on how these are wired. Normally this series of wires, like I said, the bulbs would be higher visibility so that you can see them farther down the road. Evidently, if you're putting this in your shop, you do not want those bulbs in here. It would glow this place like a alien spacecraft. But generally what happens is, I believe, and this is just me, I'm not sure, but if you work on these things, let me know, and let everybody else know in the comments. But I would imagine that these three lights, wires, all run over to the control unit, which is generally located over on a corner or something, and that's what tells what light to turn on, etc., etc. Now what we've got coming is an electronic one that's going to change this to digital, and it's going to have an automatic timer built in. So we're going to have to figure out where to put it inside while retaining our original wiring. We'll pull out the bulbs because we are going to need that space, but we know that if we ever want to convert back, we can. So with that, we're going to go ahead and break now. I'm waiting on the parts to arrive, but this is our light, and we'll be back either later today or in a couple of days, and we'll finish it up and get this video out to you.